to Storytellers and Ney-Sayers. I'm Sareth Ney, and I hope you like the play on words with my last name. Coming to the stage on to my show, we met performing stand-up comedy together, and she's awesome. We've performed at the Improv together. We'll probably talk about that. That was a crazy night. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the creative entrepreneur, Shereen Kassam. Hey, Shereen, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Sareth? I'm great.
Fantastic. Great to see you again. It's been 2 weeks or something.
I think it's been like three now. I think time is just flying as we're preparing for the Fringe Festival because I'm having a hard time how it's already May.
Yeah, big time. This year's been flying by. Like every year flies by when you're an adult. They were pretty serious about that.
That is
Indeed.
true. We don't have summer to look forward to.
Not anymore, we don't. That's for sure. So, Shireen, we're going to break down your bio, and I can't wait to dive into it because you've done so much. It's incredible. So, you're pretty much an international touring stand-up comedian now because you've been to New York and Saigon. And so, what are your favorite memories of New York, Saigon, and everywhere in between?
I would just say the people. Like when I traveled through Asia, I performed in Vietnam, Cambodia, Singapore, and Malaysia, and I just say the people are just so nice. They understand their new comedy scene, so they understand it's comedy. They haven't gotten to that point yet of being offended. And that's like the really great part. There's not this like there's not a PC culture yet. I mean, it's there because you're not allowed to talk about the government and politics and stuff like that, but people are just chill about comedy. They're just excited that comedy's in their country now.
That's awesome. I'm Cambodian, so that's pretty cool. I got to perform in my country. I just go there as a tourist and stuff, but and go
Oh no,
visit
you
family.
got to get on stage there. They have some great clubs there now.
Awesome. I'll have to be a storyteller because my stand-up days are behind me. But
I'm sure they have places to do that too.
awesome, and we're gonna be on our. You're doing a storytelling show. Two of them actually. I'm doing one at Fringe. It's gonna be a wild time. Your tickets are in the description box below, so get them early. They're in my box, so click on that link and get some tickets for 1001 Red Flags. But we'll get to that in a little bit for sure. Awesome. So you got named the Florida's funniest female, and what kind of like the competition? What was like the atmosphere like, and who was like was the runner up and so forth.
Oh man, you're asking a lot of questions from pre-COVID. I feel like pre-COVID days are just a blur at this point. I feel like competitions are interesting because you never know how they're going to judge it. Because like they always have judges, but then they're always like, oh, but we're going to take audience participation as well. And I think that one I won due to audience participation. I don't think the judges were particularly fond of me, but that's okay because it takes a lot to be fond of me.
Good stuff. Yeah, competitions weren't my thing. I probably won like one or two in the 10 years that I did it. So it's like, it's whatever.
Well, it's funny because like you have these competitions and it's fine. Like some competitions are legit, right? Like America's Got Talent. These are professionals who've been in the industry who know what they're looking for. But then when you have these other competitions and you just pick your friends to be judges, and comedy's so subjective, it's like they could just not like you for any reason. It might not even be your comedy. It's just the way you look, the way you're dressed, like there's so many factors. But I love audience participation competitions. Like the improv does that a lot. And I love those because I mean, you can just tell who wins by the number of people clapping, right?
Yep, most definitely. It's like Florida's funniest. I did
Hmm.
that one like 1 year, and I forgot to do my joke at the time that we did our improv show together. And I was like, well, I know that I'm not gonna win with this joke, but I've always wanted to tell it on the stage, and so I did it, and it was like 3 minutes long. It's like $25 to do 3 minutes. I was like, jeez,
Hmm.
that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, Florida Funniest is a good one too because like they have legit judges who know comedy. But like I remember one year I went through because the judges picked me, and one year I went through because I was a wild card because the audience picked me. Um, and it was interesting because you wonder like how come the audience was so behind me to like win it, but yet I couldn't get past the judges. Like it's like you never know what they're looking for.
Right?
But
It's
then
like
I made it to the final, so obviously I was doing something right.
indeed like a UFC thing when you're like you put it in the judge's hands. It's like they've never been in a fight. Probably they
Hmm.
just whatever. But they know funny, I guess. So, and the past winner was, deserved it. Donald is a really great comic, and they used one of my nog shots for the flyer. So I was like, heck yeah, my nog shots are pretty famous. Indeed. Awesome. And so you've also appeared on HBO and NBC, and we're definitely going like full detail on your bio, so hang
I
on
see
tight.
that.
Indeed.
I feel
So,
like you're like the IRS or something. Are you trying like Homeland Security trying to get me deported?
yep, I'm monitoring you at the moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, you've been on HBO and NBC. What shows were you on, and all that? How'd you get on them and stuff?
Yeah, HBO was a comedy competition by the American Black Film Festival and Bob Sumner. So Bob Sumner is the founder of the Def Comedy Jam, like way back in the day. He's still doing really cool stuff. He books the Apollo, and he's working on his own show and stuff. And so it was to find the next best talent in America, and they do it every year. So it was a showcase on HBO for diversity, for diverse comics, and then same with NBC. It was a diversity stand-up comedy show.
Awesome. I'm glad they're branching out like that because, we're like definitely underrepresented being both Asians. So, indeed. Yeah, there's not a lot of us out there, uh, but yeah, you did the Orlando Improv Clash of the Comics. Who
Mhm.
was all also on that bill? This seems like a wild clash.
Mm, yeah, that was like, I don't think they did another one after. Actually, no, I think they did one more after I won. But I remember it was like people who aren't here anymore. I remember Akeem Woods was on that. Justin Lawson was there. Uh, I'm not sure. Whoever the comics were living in Orlando in like 2018, who were they? I
Indeed,
know
yeah.
it was all men, and then it was me. So
Wow, you knocked them all out. That's fantastic.
yeah, well, I try. But then of course you get the lone male comic who will be like, "Oh, you only won because they needed a female winner." You know what I mean? Those are the worst. Where it's like, "No, I won fair and square." Like the audience, you can go back and listen to the audience response.
Definitely,
So,
indeed. And all three of you are off to bigger and better things now. So, especially with your show at the Fringe and all that good stuff,
yeah,
and
Akeem and Justin are doing amazing things. They're killing it.
most
They're,
definitely, indeed. And so you also performed at the Brickell Comedy Festival. Where's that located, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so that was in Miami. It's somewhere in Miami. I think it's like considered a suburb or something. I'm not too familiar with Miami, but it was like a rich white area of Miami. And it was their inaugural comedy show, and that was a cool experience because it was a full audience, and we were on on a legit like big theater stage performing. And that was a cool show because again, that was audience vote too. So again, like audience vote competitions, I feel like from now on when I do competitions, I have to ask like, is this judges or audience vote? But that was a cool show too. It was funny because I won, and the runner up was this dude. I don't even know if he still does comedy, but he was like 16 or 17 years old, and it was just fascinating to watch him on stage because he was so confident, and he had this like demeanor to him that I feel like some comics work all their lives to find like their voice, but I think because he was so young, he didn't care. And so he just was so carefree on stage. And it was just amazing to watch him. I was like, I'm about to lose to like a high school kid who's like doing his first comedy show.
Indeed. It definitely takes a long time to find your voice and stuff. I've only been to
Mhm.
Miami one time since living here for 10 years. I'm like, as soon as I listen to all those lanes, I'm like, I'm glad I'm only doing this one time. So it's
Yep.
most definitely. And so, have you found your voice yet in stand up?
I think I have, but there are moments where I try to do a joke and I'm like, that's not me, but I really like the joke. So then I've got to figure out like, can I make this my voice or is it okay to kind of like still do the joke because it's funny enough? But I think I'm still trying to find like who is Shereen Kassam on stage. But I think this fringe show that I'm doing is going to help a lot with that.
Awesome. It usually does. Yeah. That's I did it back in like the 30th one, and so it's like every time I got better. The first couple times was rough, but it should
Mm-hmm.
be better. But yeah, now you opened for like got to perform with so much of like big hitters like Arsenio Hall, Preacher Lawson, Carlos Mencia, Gina Brillin, and Zarna Garg. Like what are some of what did they teach you, and what was your experience like with all those comics?
Oh, they're amazing. Like Arsenio Hall was so cool. He's so humble. I remember he came out on stage while I was still on stage and like held my hand and like made the audience take pictures with the two of us together, which was just so nice, like letting me have the spotlight and like giving me, I mean, he retweeted one of my tweets. That's like probably the best memory I have of Arsenio Hall. Like I look at that tweet all the time. I'm like, oh, he retweeted me. So that was really cool. And then Zerna Garg was really cool. That was last year. Zerna Garg is like a up and coming comedian. She just released her first special on Amazon. I mean, she's blowing up and she's just so amazing to work with. And then Gina Brilliant, she's been in the scene for a long time. I think she's been doing comedy 15 years now, and she's getting into her stride. She's been working with Fluffy and George Lopez, and she just released her special as well. And she's just an amazing female comedian to go and watch. She's hilarious. But yeah, I think just watching the work these comics put into their writing, into their act. I mean, they're always writing. Like I remember when Zerna was in Orlando, she brought her family and she has kids, and they were going to Disney. And I was like, are you going to Disney with them? She goes, no. I'm going to sit in the hotel room and write. And I was like, that takes dedication to be in Orlando with your family who are going to Disney, but you're going to sit in the hotel room and write. And it's just moments like that where you're like, okay, these people are serious about their career. And I need to like buckle down too.
Indeed. I've never been to Disney World, and I've been here a decade. I'm like, I've seen it in LA or Anaheim. I don't really, it's not my thing.
It's not your thing.
Amusement parks are not my jam. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You're saving a lot of money that way.
Indeed. I noticed the prices are just insane, and plus the parking lot is pretty big too. So that's like not my thing either.
Well, they now have an app to help you find your car.
Oh, well, that's good. Oh man. So you're East African. Your comedy background is East African, Kenyan, Tanzanian, South Asian Muslim woman who grew up in the United States. And I know that I had strict Asian parents. What was like your upbringing like when you were growing up?
Oh, I'm sure it was just like yours. My parents were very strict. Like it was go home, come home, go to school, come home, go to school, and study. It was like, you're going to be a doctor, an engineer, and like all this other stuff. Like I didn't actually know you could be a stand-up comedian. Like I was so sheltered. It's funny because like when I think back on it, I'm like, did I even know what stand-up comedy was? Like I would listen to the radio and like these radio talk show hosts, and I was like, it never occurred to me that those were like real people. I don't know what I thought they were, but it never occurred to me that those were jobs or careers that I could be interested in or pursue, because I was so brainwashed to think that I was just going to go be a doctor and engineer. So, I mean, I guess you could say like, it's funny because now when people ask me about pop culture references, I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, well, weren't you living here in the 90s? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what any of that stuff was. Like I wasn't sitting here like learning that stuff, you know?
Yeah, indeed. I'm not even caught up with like the new stuff. I'm like, it's just so much going on at the same time. It's like overload, It's like you just, go to the beat of your own drum, and just like if people tell you, hey, check this out, you go check it out, and it's like if it's not for you, it's not for you. I guess. Yep, indeed, for sure. And so you're the host of the podcast Creative Breakthrough. How's that going so far? I know that you had a lot of cool guests like Maz and everything.
Yeah. No, that's a cool podcast. So if you're a creative who's looking to elevate your career, so learn strategies how to be successful, my podcast is called Creative Breakthrough, and I interview comedians like Maz Jobrani. I've interviewed authors. I've interviewed TV personalities, directors, producers, actors, actresses, all types of creatives, just to learn how did they go from being an amateur to being successful. So it's mostly comics of color or creatives of color, so minorities, because I find that in this space, if you're trying to advance your career, it's really hard if you don't have a network. And a lot of those networks come from our parents, but our parents don't have those networks either because they weren't born into it, or they weren't born here. And so how do we elevate our careers? And so this podcast is all about these creatives who are successful sharing their strategies on how to elevate your career. So definitely a podcast to check out. Again, it's called Creative Breakthrough.
Awesome. And I put all the links like Apple and all that jazz in the description box.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So subscribe and rate and all that good stuff. And it's pretty awesome you did that. Like, how did you get those guests on? Like, you reach out to their publicist, or do you reach out to them directly? And
I just reach out to them directly, or if they're coming to Orlando, I'll go and meet them and try to get them on the podcast. It's interesting because I find that it's easier to get people on the podcast who don't live in Orlando. Like there's a couple people in Orlando who I have approached at events to be on the podcast who have not been on the podcast and like totally just don't respond to me. But it's the people for some reason not living here who are super excited to be on the podcast. I'm not sure the psychology behind that, but yeah, I just approach them. I mean, it's getting a little harder now because when I approach people, they're like, why should I do your podcast over this person's podcast? So you have to have a really good pitch to sell people on like why your podcast is better than someone else's podcast. Because there's just too many podcasts now.
There really is. And I'm like, all my numbers are low. And I'm just like, it's just for my YouTube audience, has like 600 subscribers. I'm like, if you want to watch it, go for it, I guess, But I share it on social. I'm a journalist too. So it's like back in the day, I was like super heavy on that, I was like, but social media is such a burnout sometimes, just overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be.
Most definitely. And so, I'll definitely check out some more episodes. Which episodes do you recommend? Because I listened to the Maz one and everything like that. So he was like really informative about his stand-up career.
Yeah, that's a good podcast episode. If you go to my website, Creative Break, or actually funnybrown.girl.com, if you go to funnybrown.girl.com, there's a quiz and you can take the quiz and it asks you a bunch of questions like where you are on your creative journey and where do you want to be on your creative journey. And then it'll actually recommend podcast episodes that best suit where you are in your journey. And so I would go actually that route because I think all the episodes are great, but they all offer different advice depending on what you're looking for.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's like one step ahead of everyone that I ever talked about podcast.
Well, there's so many episodes. It's like, how do you always want people to listen to one, but if you give them too many options, they get confused, right? But there's people I've interviewed who've left a corporate job, or there's people who I've interviewed who've made it to success while working a corporate job. And then there's people who just put everything at risk and took a chance on themselves. And so each episode is different depending on your risk level, where you are in your career, what you're looking to do. So
most definitely. Good stuff. Awesome. I'll definitely fill out that survey so I'm at a different chapter in my life, so I'll find someone to listen to, all that good stuff. So you won the International Women's Podcast Award. They crowned Creative Breakthrough in the Moment of Badass Business Advisory category. What was that award ceremony like, and what was it like to be nominated and beat out those other people?
Yeah, so the award ceremony was actually in London, England. So I actually didn't get to go. It was right at the end of COVID, and I really wanted to go, but I was just nervous to get on the plane because I was scared I was going to catch COVID. But from the pictures, it looked amazing. Everybody was there in ball gowns. It was like this huge event. It was sponsored by Shure, which I'm sure you've heard of in the podcasting space. I'm kind of glad that I didn't go because everybody was wearing ball gowns and I was going to show up in jeans and Jordans. And so I'm glad that I didn't embarrass myself as the American who didn't know the dress code. But it was pretty cool. They played a video of me accepting my award on the big screen. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's a cool podcasting award ceremony. It's international. And the fact that they nominated for me for best business category was interesting because I never thought of my podcast as badass business advice, but I guess in a way it is because I'm teaching people how to become an entrepreneur, or how to take charge of your own career. So pretty cool.
Most definitely. Congratulations on that. That's pretty big.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. So you appeared in commercials, including the Florida Lotto web series, such as Drop. And are they? Can anyone find the commercials like on YouTube or anything? Like
yeah,
on the
I think
lottery?
if you're on my website, I think if you click on it, it should be clickable into the commercial, the link. And then yes, Drop is a web series on YouTube. So I think I have it linked on my website as well. But if you go onto YouTube and you type in Drop web series, it'll pop up. I play a crack addict.
There's plenty of them in Daytona, so it's like and soft white underbelly. So like, where did you get your inspiration to be like
a crack addict? Yeah, I think it was just like spending time in downtown Orlando.
Yeah, there's a lot there too. Oh man, Ash Cash has that joke about how they are all like Super Mario characters. Yes, it's like it's true about that, and that's why I would try to avoid downtown Orlando. I'm like, I'm not even going to go to the mics in downtown Orlando. I'm just going to avoid that whole area.
Yeah, it's gotten bad since COVID. It definitely has gotten it's gotten worse, but
and and the smell is just like I can't.
Yeah.
It's
Again, just since COVID, I don't know what they're going to do about all that, but it's interesting. The world is
most
changing.
big time, indeed. So uh, you have my pain center, and I remember you was sharing, the CBD and all that good stuff. What got you into that field?
Yeah, so I started experimenting with CBD not a couple years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I've been in a couple car accidents, so I have fibromyalgia, I have chronic pain, I have sciatica, I've got all types of like pain in my body, and I just got tired of taking prescription pills. Like I was on so many prescription pills and they would make me groggy and then I would black out and things were just not working with them. So I started experimenting with CBD and then I started experimenting with marijuana and I just decided, you know what, there's so many people out there trying to scam you and sell you products that aren't legit. And so I decided I would start my own business where I would sell products, only products that I use or that my friends and family use that we've tried and tested so that we know that they're legit and they work. And so that's how the business came about.
Wow, that sounds like very uh like Robert Rodriguez. If you read his book, Rebel Without a Crew, he
Okay.
he did a bunch of studies on him, like so he can raise money for his movies.
Okay.
And it's like when you tried that stuff on yourself first, I was like, gee, that's just like it reminds me of this lab studies and stuff. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. So that's what we do. I mean, I try everything and then I'm like, oh, this one did not get me. This one did not help at all. And then we don't sell it. So,
There you go. Good stuff. Yeah, I went to a vape shop, and like this local dispensary sponsored it, so they gave us like bags and stuff of all their
okay.
stuff. And I'm like, I'm afraid to try any of this stuff. So I'm straight edge. So I'm like, well,
Mm,
I had a bad incident in Colorado when the weed hits and you're that high of an altitude. It's like
hmm.
forget about it. You're stuck to a couch for 3 hours.
Oh, really? The altitude plays a role into it?
Big time, big time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
So
shall
if you
have
ever,
to go and try it.
yeah, it sounds like fun. Good stuff. Awesome. So, you worked in previous roles in J.P. Morgan and Dolowite, I think, or you'll have
Deloitte.
to Deloitte and Amazon. So do you still work collab with them, or did you work for them, or
Yeah, I was working at the location. So I was working in New York, Boston, and Seattle, but I don't work for them anymore. No.
good call? Indeed, I don't blame you. So, I'm glad you're on your own. So it's like it's so much more rewarding because you're investing in yourself instead of investing time in those people. So
Hmm.
good
Yep,
call,
exactly.
most definitely. And so you also went to you received your BA from Brown University and an MBA at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. What were your college years like?
Oh, they were amazing. I loved college. It was the first time I'd experienced things that I hadn't experienced growing up because I was so sheltered. So it was kind of weird. Like I remember freshman year was weird because I remember somebody handed me a beer and I was like, it was a PBR and I drank it and I was like, this is gross. Why are you guys drinking this stuff? But then I was like, oh, it tastes great. Like so like it was just funny. Like there was things that people were doing. Like I remember these kids in my dorm room would get high on cough syrup and pass out. And I was like, these people like need to find out what idea of fun is. Like there was things that people were doing for fun when I got to college that I didn't understand, but it was just like, okay, I'm here now and I'm going to experiment it too and like try it and like get to know like what was I missing through high school. So it was pretty fun. It was also interesting because I made a very diverse group of friends in college versus when I went to high school, I went to a pretty majority all white school. It was a Christian school and I'm not Christian. So it was definitely nice to be in a more diverse environment and learning about like different things or being
Wow,
exposed to different things.
indeed. I feel you on that one. When I was growing up, I was like the only Cambodian or one of two Asians in the entire school,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, this is so weird. Everyone else is different.
Yeah.
I feel your pain. Indeed. Awesome. So, you reside in Orlando, Florida, and you have a serious problem saying no to chicken wings.
Yes, I do.
How come chicken wings and not any like not nuggets and stuff?
Oh my God, because chicken wings are so much better. Nuggets are like fake. They're like chicken nuggets aren't even real chicken. Chicken wings are like legit, like food that's just like tasty off the bone. It's like tender. It's just the sauces. It's just the friedness, everything mixed together. There's nothing else that can compare to it.
That's for sure. Yeah, and you convinced me with your TEDx talk too about chicken wings.
Yes, right there. Chicken wings. Resauce yourself.
Resauce yourself. What's your favorite sauces that you like to with your wings?
I'm not gonna lie. So I like really spicy sauces, like mango habanero or honey jalapeno. But like my default is always just buffalo sauce. Like sometimes when I go to restaurants and they have all these fancy sauces, like I like sriracha honey and stuff. You just never know, is it gonna be spicy or is it gonna be sweet? So my default is just buffalo. But I will try like half and half or something.
Gosh, you're a much stronger person than I am. I'm stuck to like lemon pepper and I'm
Ew.
good. It's too dry.
Lemon
Well,
pepper is awful.
it's awful. So, well, Sean Evans, Hot Ones, you need to connect with
I know, I
Shereen.
want to get on that show. Oh my goodness. I've been told so many times I need to like figure out like a strategy to get on that show. But I think I just need to become famous. That's really it.
Well, you're already famous to me, so
Oh, well, thank you.
you're welcome. Maybe you can plug your show, hop over to New York and plug your show at Fringe, and have people go
Well,
to your.
that would be awesome. I'm really hoping that the Fringe show, I mean, takes me to some like cool opportunities. Like I would love to take my Fringe show and turn it into a screenplay or a book, or even like do an off Broadway run. If I don't even know how to make that happen, but I would love to do an off Broadway run or something, so that it's not like you put in all this work into a Fringe show and then it doesn't see the light of day again, you know?
That's what happened to me. That's. But I didn't want like you can go on the French circuit. That's what a lot of people have
Mhm.
been doing. Like take around the country and perform your show. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I could look into that. It just seems yeah, I mean it's all based on luck, right? So like if you get picked in the lottery and stuff. Like I didn't get picked in the lottery for Fringe. So like if I hadn't gotten into a third party BYOV, I wouldn't be doing Fringe this year. So it's
Wow.
so much based on luck. So if I apply to like Fringe shows and depend on just Fringe shows and I'm the most unlucky person, I might never do another Fringe show.
Dang, that's wild. Like they like I remember like when they did it for me and they had like that lottery ball thing
Hmm.
and with your name in it. And like no one submitted it for like the entire year because it was a COVID year, and so they
Hmm.
just like didn't even rotate it. They just picked the names out for
Oh,
it.
really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. No, I remember I sat there this year and I went live and they kept pulling names and names and names. And I think there's like 200 shows or something. So they pulled 200 names and I didn't get pulled once. And then they started the wait list and like I was number 2 on the wait list. And I was like, oh my God, how unlucky can you be?
It's the worst. It's like it reminds me of like when we were at City Arts together and
Hmm.
like the last name was picked and I'm like and you would like fist bump me and like, oh please let it be you. And like that one person that didn't get picked, I was like, I sure hope they got to tell the story that night because like I felt so bad for that other person that didn't get
Yeah,
picked.
yeah, I know. It came down to you guys. And I remember telling the president of the story club, I was like, you better pick Sareth because he drove all the way here.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thanks for putting in the good word for me. Like,
Well, she said that even if they hadn't picked you, she would have made sure that you got on stage. So,
oh, that's fantastic. That's why I'm so nervous about going there again. It's like do I want to risk it? I mean, it's like a far drive. I hate driving on I-4. It's like, but it
yeah.
is what it is. It happens. It was like, thanks for putting in a good word for me.
Well, just tell them next time. Just be like, hey, I came all the way from Palm Coast. So if there's a possible way, I mean, and your story was good. So there's no reason for them not to trust you to tell a good story. Now, if you had bombed on stage, I would have been like, I don't know, Sareth.
I'm still waiting on my tickets to his show to go and awesome. Yep, that I've been doing a lot of like Jacksonville story. I was there last night for a Jacksonville one, and it was like the theme was alarm, and I talked about how I evaded the cops. It's like it's awesome.
Nice.
Good stuff. So I'll probably throw those videos up on my YouTube channel or something. Um, so in 2021, you were honored with the Orlando Business Journal's 40 Under 40, and uh, that's a big deal. Like I'm 40 now, so I am no longer qualified. So what was that whole experience like?
Yeah, so that's a really cool opportunity. I think a lot of cities offer their own 40 under 40, but in Orlando, somebody nominated me, and they won't tell me who nominated me, but somebody nominated me, and then it just turned into this big thing where, unfortunately, it was during COVID. So like we did pictures and like they did like this ceremony and everything, but it was all via Zoom. So there was no big party, but usually they do a big party at this place called Mangoes, which is like a club slash dinner restaurant here in Orlando. And they do this like big award ceremony. So I missed all that because of COVID, but it was still really cool that somebody in the community recognized me and nominated me for the award.
Awesome, good stuff. Whenever I think of mangoes, I think of Chris Kattan on Saturday Night Live. Oh man, Mango is hilarious. Good stuff. But I'll definitely check out Mangoes for sure. It seems like a cool spot.
Yeah, it's
And
like a nightclub slash dinner restaurant. So they do like these they have a Michael Jackson impersonator and like tropical like it's just a fun night. It's expensive, I think. Well, not expensive. I think it's like $20 to get in. And then you have to buy drinks and stuff.
good lord, dang cover charges. Tell you what. So I never been a fan of the bar scene or the like
Mm,
club scene and
then you're not
stuff.
gonna enjoy this.
Oh, good call. I'm just gonna stick to the storytelling stuff. I'm pretty plain, like my wings. Speaking of wings, we talked about TEDx talking and Eustace about how chicken wings made me unstoppable was the name of your show. Like, how did you pick the like how did you get picked for TEDx and why? How did you pick your topic? Did you really have to memorize the entire script and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you do have to memorize the script. There's no teleprompters, so that's why I tried. Mine was a little bit shorter than other people's. You're allowed to have up to an 18-minute TED Talk. Mine was cut at 12. It was really 10 minutes, but I guess I went a little slower. So yeah, you do have to memorize it. But the good thing is that it's not recorded live. So like if you mess up, you can restart, and then they'll just edit the video. And then the application process differs depending on where you want to do your TED Talk. So like some people are like, I want to be on a big stage like New York, LA, Boston. I just picked Eustace because I saw it on Facebook and was like, oh, this sounds interesting. And you fill out an application. It's like a college application. They really want to dig deep into why you want to do a TED Talk, what it's about, what will the audience learn from you, why are you the best person to tell this story. And then you just cross your fingers, and then the hard work. It's like a fringe show. Once you get in, that's when the hard work starts. And then 30 days out is when you start to stress out, and you're like, oh my God, I have 30 days to memorize this, and my short-term memory doesn't work.
I feel you on that one. When we went and to see the one man show or one person show, when we saw each other, it's like I kept on seeing him look at his notes and stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really tough to carry on like a show. Yeah. But if you break it down and compartmentalize, each act, you're gonna be just
Mm-hmm.
fine. So break it down to 20 minutes and remember as much as you can.
Yep.
Yep, most definitely. And so you're premiering your one woman comedy show 1000 Red Flags at the Renaissance Theater Company at the Orlando Fringe. You have 6 shows, and I put all your tickets information below in the description box below, so click on those links and pick the best date to go. And why 1000 Red Flags? I know the story behind it, but the audience might not. So
So it's called 1001 Red Flags. It's about modern dating. So dating in your 30s here in Orlando. It's just a story. It's about a young woman, me. It's based on a true story about me dating someone here in Orlando and the relationship, the ups and downs, trying to find the one, moving in together, all that stuff that you do in a relationship. But sometimes you miss the red flags. And so that's what the story is about. So you're going to laugh, you're going to cringe, you're going to nod in agreement, but I'm hoping you're going to laugh mostly at the story and not judge me too much.
I won't judge it. The red flags are just like I love your social media posts and me interacting and like red flags you see in people. And I'm like, if they have a huge debt, I don't want to talk to them. And
Oh, well, today I posted this one guy on Bumble has his dating profile says, don't message me if you're fat because I'm not going to spend $85 feeding you sushi.
wow, that's people are horrible.
Yeah. He's like, so he's like, one of the questions is like, what are you not looking for? What do you hope for in your future like relationship? And he goes, somebody that's not obese.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
People are
some
ballsy.
people. It's just more to love, you know.
Exactly. But like, how shallow can you be? And whatever girl swipes on him, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like you have to wonder what that person is thinking too. Not to pass judgment because like I didn't see 1,001 red flags, so like I can't judge people, but I'm also like, who does he think is gonna swipe right on him?
Right. It's like I didn't know shallow hell still existed in the world.
Mhm.
Indeed. Yep. I'm afraid to go on those dating sites because I'm like, my buddies were like, don't go on them because every single bio says no Asians. I'm like, gosh dang it.
Oh, I didn't know that. The only reason I'm on them is right now is because I'm making these memes to promote my show. But other than that, like I'm not on the dating apps. I actually got banned from Tinder. Like I have a permanent ban, lifetime ban from Tinder right now. Because
What'd you do? You guys tell us.
well, I just joined like last month or something because I was going to use it to promote my show. And this guy slid into my DMs and started talking to me. And then he sent me a picture of his private parts. So I sent him a picture of a bigger private part, and then Tinder banned me, like because they said I violated the terms of use.
What? And he didn't get punished for it?
Oh, I have no idea because like I literally signed off, and then the next day when I tried to go back on the app, it like said you have a lifetime ban. So like I couldn't open the app.
Jeez, oh man.
And they're so smart. Like Tinder, I don't know how they did it, but like so I got banned. So then I tried to open another account on my other phone because it's a different phone and phone number. And like somehow I couldn't. It said no, you're banned. Like they knew that that phone number was my phone number too. And then I have a third phone number, and I tried it with that one, and it let me use it for a day, and then that one got a lifetime ban as well. And I was like, how does Tinder know like that I'm the same person? Like I used a different picture, I had a different name. Like I don't know. It was just weird how they know all this stuff.
It really is. It's like well, sucks to be them because you could have been their Tinderella.
What's a oh, like the Cinderella?
Yeah.
I've never heard that term before. That's very cute. I will have to write that down. I'm gonna have to
And
write. I'm gonna have to write to Tinder and be like, you cannot make me lose out on being a Tinderella to someone.
indeed, I put that in like a stand up too. It's like Tinderella and Bumble Bay and stuff. It's like
I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life because they won't let me join Tinder.
it's there's plenty of fishes in that other sea app or whatever.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm normalizing finding love in my 40s, like the meme says. I'm just gonna be like, whatever. I don't know. And I like, stand-up comedy is like the worst when like especially like when comics start dating each other. It's like you kind of not want to date in your own field, it seems like. It's just not a good idea. I've
No.
seen some bad relationships just blow up. I'm like, I'm glad I'm just here eating popcorn and watching this dumpster fire happen.
Yep. Well, it's funny when I first started doing comedy, that was the first piece of advice I got, like literally the first piece of advice. And it was just like, do not date another comedian.
I know
Like,
how some people do it. It's just,
mhm.
indeed. But so close though. There were some times, not gonna lie, because my jokes are just like so filthy. They like that dirty stuff. So I'm like, no, thank you. I'm gonna stay a little by myself. But I love your stand-ups, and so hopefully you work some of your material into 1,000 Red Flags. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, it's supposed to be a comedy show, but it's branded as a one woman show because there are going to be like serious moments and vulnerable moments. It's not going to be my 1 hour comedy special. But it's still mostly funny.
Awesome. And you're gonna put it on DigiFringe and everything, right? They're gonna film it and everything.
I didn't understand what DigiFringe is, but I'll look into
Oh,
it.
for sure. Yep, they film it, and it gives you like another outlet to make more money off it. And if people can't make it to
Oh,
Fringe,
okay. So they
it's
film it or I film it?
they film it. If it comes with that package deal with like the production costs and stuff.
Okay.
So when they filmed mine, I was like 6 people in the audience, but the
Oh,
laughs were
no.
loud, so it was
Okay.
awesome.
I'll
Yeah,
go back and look into it and see what it is. There's so many emails I can't keep up.
for sure. It really is. It's so much. I'm still dealing with the outdoor stage one. I got our contract for Loose Leaf done, so I got to work on the high and dry one. So definitely check those out in the outdoor stage. It's on my website, and my social media posts is coming up. I should start promoting more often. Yeah. I'll send you the flyer for Loose Leaf here in a little bit so we can plug our shows. But
Okay.
thank you so much, Shereen, for being my guest on stage. I was hoping to like make this last an hour, but time just flew by and all of my questions have been answered. Is there anything else you'd like for me to cover while we're here?
No, just for those of you who don't know, the Orlando Fringe Festival is happening in May, the last 2 weeks of May. It happens every year. I think it's been going on since like 1992. It's the longest running Fringe in the world. And Fringe, a lot of people are like, what is Fringe? Fringe is a bunch of independent artists, comedians, theater people who put on independent shows. So we self fund all our shows. So all of these things cost money and we do it ourselves so that you can come out and support us. So you can go to orlandofringe.org and buy a ticket. You can come see 1001 Red Flags. You can do that at 1001redflags.com. You can buy a ticket and just come out and support us for 2 weeks. I mean, it's days, every hour. There's a new show every day for 2 weeks. You can see musicals, comedies, magic shows. There's some weird shows that are going to be happening that I don't even know what they're called, but I've heard that they're happening. There's pirate shows. There's Sareth shows on the outside stage, which are actually free. So you don't actually have to buy a ticket for. And then they have food carts and they have a beer garden and they have things for the kids. There's a kids fringe as well where they bring a little horse. So it's like fun for the whole family. So definitely if you live in the Orlando area and you've never been, or even if you have been, come check it out. More information at orlandofringe.org.
Most definitely. That's pretty awesome. Man, I'm so glad you broke down everything for us because I was like, that's a lot to remember. You're going to be just
Well,
fine with
I
your
just
one
feel
person.
I didn't know what Fringe Festival was until a couple years ago. And it's funny because like I've lived here for so long and so many people that I've been telling to come to my show are like, what is the Fringe Festival? And so it's just educating people on what it is. I think because I don't live close. I live maybe 30 minutes away from where the Fringe is. So like maybe it's because I'm not in that area. I never heard about it or saw it happening. So for those of you who don't know, it happens in the by the Shakes Theater. What's that area called?
There's like it's off Princeton, so there's like the Orlando Science Center's
Yep.
there, the Orlando Museum of Art's there.
Yep.
It's all in the same area. The London Shakespeare Center.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
all
Lock
right there.
Haven Park. It's called Lock
Lucky.
Haven Park, I think. Yep.
And there's venues scattered all over the city
Mm-hmm.
too for their BYOV and bring your own
Mm-hmm.
venue. So
Yep.
Renaissance Theater is one of them. So definitely
Yeah.
go check that out.
Yes, we're going to be at the Renaissance Theater and it's got air conditioned, it's got a bar, there's free parking. It's a new venue, it's a new location and it's just amazing. It's a great space. So definitely come out. Get out of the heat in May. We've got, like Sareth said, 6 shows. They're all in the evening. I've said 2 in the middle of the day, 2 in the mid-afternoon on the weekends. So find yourself a babysitter. It's an 18 plus show. You can bring your kids if you feel daring to bring them, but don't let them interrupt my show.
Indeed. Also, I wanted to let you know that I once, like when I did my one person show, they people walked out sometimes, and I'm like, I was so discouraged, after the end, like at the end, and like,
Mhm.
hey, I was like, hey, sound tech, why are these people just walking out sometimes? It's like because they got to catch another show. They were just here to like be here
Uh,
for a little while, and I'm like, okay, and so that threw me off like the first couple, like twice or something. I'm like,
mhm.
it's normal, so it's normal, but
Okay,
you're gonna
thanks
be
for letting
just
me know because I get very in my head when I see people either walk out or on their cell phones or like when they sit with their arms crossed and they don't smile the entire show. They're like those people, like it's one person in the audience, but they bother me because I'm like, will you just smile?
oh man, I that reminds me of the show that I did like when my one person show, like one of the dates, like it was completely, like almost completely sold out or packed,
Hmm.
and I was bombing on stage for my jokes. I'm like, this is not real. And like my last show that was filmed, they were like, okay, we love dirty material because it was like 11 at night, and that one
Hmm.
was probably like in the middle of the day. So I don't think you have any dirty jokes, so that's good. So
No, I don't have any dirty jokes. The theater themselves just wanted to make it 18 plus just to cover their own BY their own asses. But then I do make one joke about sex and I do throw the F word around sometimes. So just want to be careful that nobody brings their kids and then is offended. Because you know how society is today. Anything can offend you.
most definitely. I feel you on that one, but I think you're gonna be just fine. We're gonna be just fine on our shows. It's gonna be so much fun. I love Fringe, and you're gonna love Fringe too. It's just one cool part, and I'm glad it's been around for like 30 some plus years. It's amazing what they do for the city and the state and the world.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Shereen, is there anything final words you'd like to give out to the audience?
Nope, just come out to the Orlando Fringe and support Sareth and my shows and everybody else's shows and just have a really good time.
Absolutely. And all this, just all the information for Shereen's below. All my information is below. Just click like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll subscribe back to your YouTube channel too. Awesome. All right, for everyone else, thanks for tuning in for Storytellers and Ney-Sayers. I'm Sareth Ney. That's Shereen Kassam, and have a great night or day. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo and your weekend, and we'll see you at Fringe. Be well, everyone. Take care of each other. Good stuff.